Not even Oprah could help but cringe at some of the things Kamala Harris was saying to her in that interview last night. You guys have got to check this out.
Now the Harris-Walz ticket is on track to do fewer interviews and news conferences than any major party's presidential pairing in modern U.S. history. It's been 45 days since the Harris-Walz ticket formed. Since then, they've only done a combined 15 interviews.
Disgraceful.
Former President Trump and Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance have done 55. The New York Post editorial board with this headline: Kamala Harris is nowhere to be seen with Election Day less than 2 months away. And last night, another softball interview for the vice president with Oprah.
What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. You know, my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on.
So to answer Justin's question, now that that bill has gone and hasn't passed, will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely.
At the debate
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
Yeah.
We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being.
Well, look, on that gun issue, as they were joking around, and you're a gun owner, I didn't know all that. We learned from that Philadelphia journalism interview that she did at the NABJ, and that was also one that didn't have a lot of, re-asks and follow-ups, but they did on the topic of guns, because she said that at one point she had protested against gun legislation, some of it, at a gun show. I noticed she didn't tell Oprah that, because that would have been a place where you might have wanted to ask, well, how could you protest there and then also be a gun? I have a lot of questions, but anyway, we'll move on.
She's doing that because it's more political expedient for her career to flip-flop on her narratives, and on that particular night, she wanted to be pro-gun. But talking about the interviews, how they only did 15 interviews combined in the past, 50 days? How many of those interviews were actually tough, hard-hitting interviews? None. They were all softball, easy questions. She probably had the questions beforehand. She knew what was to be asked, and if they went outside the bounds and tried pushing it, the interview would have ended and they would have cropped it up and edited that part out. And you contrast that with J.D. Vance and Donald Trump's interviews? Oh my goodness, they are going into a war. They're going into a battle every single time.
One Wall Street Journal column calls Kamala Harris an artless dodger. Quote, that isn't the answer of a candidate trying to be forthcoming and using her limited time in an attempt to be better understood. It is the sound of someone running the clock out. It also lists reasons for her vague policy responses. Here's a quote: because she's not that interested in policy, because she'll figure it out later, because she doesn't want you to understand where she stands, because at bottom, she's as progressive as Joe Biden, end quote. But we've seen Kamala Harris try to rewrite her far-left past.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking. Listen, I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered and the work it is doing, and we need to probably think about starting from scratch. I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally.
Well, I guess it would be different if what she said then was like 25 years ago, but it wasn't. This is the second time she's run for president, so we have a pretty good idea of where the tape is, where the receipts are. They're not that old. The VP has also reversed on several other policies from not too long ago. In focus now, Lisa Booth, Fox News political analyst. Lisa, first of all, just your thoughts on her recent exposure to the press, if you will, and we'll include Oprah and those journalists as well.
Well, you know, she kind of says everything without really saying anything at all. You know, and Joe Biden had the basement strategy. She's trying to do this teleprompter strategy where, you know, she only engages in these very controlled environments. Obviously, Oprah is a big Democrat donor. So she knows she's not going to get press. She's not going to get those follow-up questions that you mentioned. But the challenge for her is it was easier for Joe Biden to do the basement strategy during COVID when everyone was hiding in their basement. But it's harder to do this for her when Donald Trump's out there. He's doing all these rallies, he's doing Gutfeld, he's doing interviews with Yvonne, he's doing a totally uncontrolled interview with Elon Musk on X. And so the contrast is just so clear. And I think that's why you're seeing even media outlets like Axios finally calling her out for dodging the press.
I want to get into the Teamster situation. That union, huge labor union in this country, 1.3 million members, has announced it will not endorse either presidential candidate. And this is the first time since 1996, so 28 years, that the Teamsters have not backed the Democratic White House nominee. Here's what the union's president told CNN.
This is a wake-up call that the system is broken. It's far too long that the Democratic Party, and I'm a Democrat, has just got their way. We need to hold them accountable. But this is an opportunity as well for both parties to take a hard look.
Well, some in the liberal media are not telling the entire story. According to the conservative-leaning Media Research Center, ABC, CBS, and NBC failed to tell viewers about a poll of Teamsters rank-and-file members that nearly 60% support former President Trump. One pro-Trump Teamsters member says this.
It really surprises me that we're not supporting the one that actually overwhelmingly won this race, and it's sad. I'm really sad that he did not look at the numbers, because when we do a vote in the Teamsters, if it's 51%, you won that race. Now going 60, come on, man, you could do better than that.
So I'm wondering about just the viability and the reason for unions at this point if they're not going to represent the opinions and you know, the beliefs of the people who pay them to represent them. I mean, should they get a discount now because the Teamsters is...
Well, you know, and we'll see what sort of uproar, you know, we see from all of it. But look, we all know that a non-endorsement is an endorsement here when they've endorsed every Democrat for decades. And why, you know, of course they're going to support Donald Trump in this race. You're talking about blue-collar workers. Many of these individuals work with their hands, right? They're willing to get their hands dirty for a living. And Kamala Harris picks a vice presidential candidate who wants to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. And then beyond that, how can they trust her on any of these issues, right? She previously supported fracking. Now she's saying, you know, she doesn't. You know, she wants to push for electric vehicles. She's going to kill a lot of the jobs that they have. Whereas with Donald Trump, they know where he stands. He's already been president. They can trust him on these issues. Also, I think the broader issue for her with the dodging the media and the flip-flopping and all this other stuff is it comes down to a perception of weakness. And that's actually the same problem that Joe Biden had. Obviously, he had the age, but behind the age was weakness. It was the lack of fortitude, the inability to do the job. She has that same problem. I mean, this is someone who is not willing to engage with the media that gives her 84% of coverage. And we're in a world of chaos right now. Chaos with the economy, chaos with the border, chaos globally as well. And she's too weak for the job.
The thing that really concerns me about why Kamala is not stating her policy, and it's kind of terrifying if you think about it, she's saying, oh, we'll work out the details later. We'll figure it out. Just wait till I get in. She's saying that because once she gets in, she could do whatever the heck she wants, and she could say, listen, I told you we'd work it out later. Here it is. And it's different from what Joe Biden did in 2020, because he was just hiding. He didn't say, I'll tell you later. He just didn't talk to the media. But when somebody actively refuses to tell you what their plans are for this country, that should tell you how radical that she is planning to be as a president. Because if your policy is that radical and extreme, just say it now. But she'll never do that, however, because she knows that would prevent her from stepping into the Oval Office ever again.
Found today. So the states with the most Teamsters Union members are Hawaii and New York. The states with the fewest are South Carolina and North Carolina. The average salary via UPS, because that's the greatest employer that has members with the Teamsters Union, is about to go from $15.50 an hour to $21 an hour from the current contract to pay for part-timers at $21 an hour, a new contract that's just come through. So you were describing who these people are. Most of them are working with UPS. You bet they're working with their hands, and you bet we need them to be working. Your last quick thought.
Absolutely. Look, for me, I'm actually feeling pretty bullish on Donald Trump right now, just when you look at the fact that he's pulling way ahead of where he was in 2020 and 2016. You look at the fact that the majority of Americans want change from this current administration. He's that change as well. When you look at issues like the economy, when you look at the Teamsters, when you look at voter registration in states like Pennsylvania, where Republicans have been able to cut the deficit in half there, this election will likely come down to Pennsylvania. So I think a lot of the fundamentals are trending in his favor, and perhaps that is why Kamala Harris is so afraid to face the media.
America needs to wisen up to these tricks that politicians play. If you refuse to talk to the media, then you have absolutely no business becoming the president, because we want someone open and transparent. We want to know exactly where you stand, exactly what you believe, and how you will change this country for the better. Kamala Harris does none of that. She hides. She only does interviews that are scripted. She knows exactly what's going to be said, and they're going to be very friendly to her. But guess what? That's not how the world is. You want to talk to China? You want to talk to Russia, North Korea? You think they're going to follow these same rules? Absolutely not. You will get walked over. We need somebody strong and capable to lead our nation, because right now we are being led like sheep to the slaughter. We need to expel these people from Washington, D.C. and elect somebody who actually cares for the well-being of the everyday average American. Because I'm telling you right now, if Kamala Harris gets in day one, she will be the most radical president in America's history, bar none. You thought Joe Biden was bad. Just wait for these next 4 years. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. What do you think? Will Kamala Harris or Tim Walz have one interview before Election Day where it isn't an absolute softball interview? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.